You want to talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the market as far as like alternatives to just that old school partner model and what's exciting you about that?
It is fun. I think I get a more varied cross section of this than most people involved in this industry because I'm not just a broker who's dealing with third party transactions or a banker who's doing finance transactions. I do all of them. So I do have some that are the kind of classic thing people envision, I think, still where they run their business, they train up a junior partner. The junior partner is ready one day to buy them out and does so for 20% of their equity, and the next year there's 20 more percent. And then I have seen that happen, but I'm from Tennessee, and there's a lot of lakes there, and there's a lot of time in that type of transaction where you have one foot on the boat and one foot on the dock. And so many things can go wrong. There's 5 years where things fall apart. So I've seen a lot of people who start going down that road and it just doesn't work out the way they intended. Maybe they're not as ready as they thought to let go of the reins, which is really common. Or maybe, the buyer is all of a sudden just completely overwhelmed by the responsibility and not interested in it. And then teasing that apart when you're partway through it is really messy. So, it does make me more interested in more flexible solutions like what we did with DBA. So, lots of different options, but generally when you're aligning your incentives with your employees and you want to treat them like they're an owner, then there's what we did, which is called a phantom equity plan or a phantom ownership plan. And it's kind of a more complicated way of saying, hey, we're going to treat you economically as though you are a 1% owner of the company. And we're going to keep that in mind for distributions maybe, or for a change of control. If I do get bought out by a third party, you're going to participate in that cash that comes into the company as though you were a 1% owner, but they're not buying in. They're not having to be on they call it the cap table, the capitalization
Mhm.
table, lists all the owners of the company. So they don't have all of those attendant obligations. And you as a company don't have to deal with, okay, well, now they've gone and they've left and they're still stuck being an owner of the company, which is an issue that happens constantly where people have
Yeah.
an old employee stuck on their cap table.
Yeah. I think I've had friends that were, admitted as minority partners that had to navigate their exit just because it did not evolve like they were hoping it would. And that's an awkward conversation. And then also, you see people that have an ownership percentage and then some other life event happens. Maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's something else that's related to family, and that disrupts the business. And so, part of those, just life circumstances are why you could keep things a little bit simpler. You said complex, but I'm like, I think we made it as simple as we could.
The simplest
And
solution for the problem, for sure.
yeah, and at the end of the day, there's a few different ways to, typically the people that you want to care for and that you want along the ride. They may not even have the funds to be able to buy in, right? Because now our valuations as firms continue to go up, especially in this market, which are really nice if you're ever going to cash that in. But if you're not going to cash that in and somebody is looking to buy in at market rates, that's just a higher elevated price for them to even come in at. And then the other option is, sometimes you'll do like this internal loan thing where you like run it through payroll and then you're deducting that from like their loan balance. And that's like super weird and complicated. And then what if that person leaves? And, it's just, how do you make it make sense?
And I've had that happen. I've structured ones that way, the way you're describing, where it's, somebody buying in and they execute a note in lieu of note payments each year, the amount they would have gotten by distribution go to pay out the note payment. And then you're 1 foot on the boat, 1 foot on the dock. And then all of a sudden somebody gets sick or divorced, to your point, or wants to move, or, whatever happens, and everything falls apart, falls straight in the
Yeah,
water.
that's a great analogy.